What's cracking, yo? Welcome back to Boo TV. Appreciate you for stopping in. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell, stay notified, and let's get into the topic for today. What's good, man? I was gonna put out another video regarding the LeBron James cap the morning after the game where they got eliminated. And again, like, I heard the rumbling started and I put out a video about it, and of course people bringing up the phantom foot, the infamous foot, whatever you want to call it, all that BS. And I was going to do a whole video, comparing it to people that actually had real injuries, much horrible injuries that legitimately played through them. And it was never mentioned for context whether they won the championship or they lost the championship, how there were never excuses for these other players. But I was just so exhausted. I was like, the hell with it, man. It's almost like you can't win against these bronzexuals. There are too many of them. I won't stop the good fight. Don't get me wrong. I won't stop giving them pushback, but I had other things to do that I had to mentally prepare for. So I was like, the hell with it. Catch it on the next time. But I see Stephen A. Smith put out a short video on his podcast, and it was titled Stephen A. shows how Michael Jordan destroys LeBron James in the GOAT debate. To me, it's not even a debate for me. Like, I get everything's subjective, but to me, Michael Jordan is clear cut above and beyond LeBron James. However, let's see what Stephen A. Smith has to say. I'm curious. As much as I don't like this guy, as much as I don't like a lot of these NBA analysts, there are times where, I definitely agree with them, and I think they make good points. So let's see what Stephen A. has to say. I'm usually on board with him with the LeBron-Jordan debate. I'll say that much.
Now, I know for some of you out there, it's a perfect opportunity to bring up the Michael Jordan, LeBron James comparison. So I'm here for it, right? Because I have these stats. I have these numbers. And you know that I wasn't going to forget to bring them out of here. Because it's important, y'all. It's important because I know some of y'all are going to talk. The obvious. You do know that MJ has 6 titles, right? And LeBron has 4. You do know that, right? You do know that MJ was undefeated in all 6 NBA Finals appearances. Do you know that? You do know that Michael Jordan never allowed an NBA Finals series to get to a 7th game. Did you know that? I'm sure you did. Did you know he's a 10-time champion? And LeBron has won a scoring title 1 time? Did you know he's a 9-time first-team all-defensive player? LeBron James did that 5 times.
That's something I always bring up with Mike, and I bring up with Kobe too. It's like, these guys, for a legitimate 10-plus years, made an all-NBA defensive team. Much of that consecutively, whether it's first or second team, with the majority of those being first teams.
Did you know that Michael Jordan is the former Defensive Player of the Year, 1988? LeBron James has never won a Defensive Player of the Year. We're talking about what you do on both sides of the court, and we're talking about Michael Jordan, in my mind, being the greatest, but not throwing any shade on LeBron James because he's the worthy number 2. But he's about to get swept. By the way, Michael Jordan, he got swept twice, just like LeBron did. But it was in best of 5 series in 86 and 87 to Larry Bird, micahel, Robert Parrish, Dennis Johnson, Danny Ainge, and those boys. In a best of 5 series. Michael Jordan has never gotten swept in a best of 7 series in his career. By the way, and I don't want to take any credit away from my brother, Chris Broussard, who works for Fox Sports. He and I are tight. We go back decades. I love him like a brother. I don't want to take any credit away from him. I was listening to him the other day talk about the Jordan-LeBron comparisons. And Chris Broussard made a point that obviously I know, but because of the bevy of things that are on my mind, I might have forgotten to bring up at that time. Do you understand that during the LeBron James era, there were debates as to whether or not he was the best in the world because Kobe was still playing?
I'm going to let him finish.
At one time. Tim Duncan was still playing for a large chunk of that time. And ultimately, Steph Curry has been playing a large chunk of that time. Do you know that when Michael Jordan was playing, there was never a debate ever as to who was the best in the world? Did you know that? There was never a debate. even before Michael Jordan won the title in 91. From 88 on, it was clear that Michael Jordan, even with Larry Bird or Magic Johnson winning championships, it was clear that Michael Jordan was the best player in the world.
Yes.
Larry Bird called him God in gym shorts. Magic and them wanted to get at him when he showed up in Barcelona for the Dream Team. And Michael Jordan said, there's a new sheriff in town. They didn't give him the mantle, he took it. That's not the case with LeBron James. And I saw my man Joe Budden, who, by the way, has a great podcast, and I got a lot of love for that brother. I've been a guest on his show before, probably will be again in the future. I got a lot of love and respect for him. But he's talking about, he's sitting up there, drinking, hanging with his boys, doing this podcast, talking about ain't no debate about LeBron and Jordan and look at who LeBron played against. Look at who Jordan played against. My brother, I regret to inform you that you must be considerably younger than me, because I don't know what the hell you were watching. There's a debate about that. Matter of fact, if it ain't a debate, it's on the other side to my man Joe Budden, who I got mad love for. And I root for that brother all the time. We just talking LeBron, MJ. I wouldn't argue with him, though, because believe it or not, his voice actually could get louder than mine. Believe that. I know that's impossible to imagine, but it's true. But he's wrong about this LeBron MJ debate. I just say all of that to say, congratulations to the Lakers for a good season. In advance, you're going home.
I would have to say I agree with Chris Broussard and Stephen A. Smith regurgitating that sentiment that LeBron James was never the unquestionable best player in the league for a large portion of his career. That is absolutely true. In fact, from about the 2005-2006 season to 2010-2011 season, I had Kobe Bryant as the best player in the league. And it was that 2010-2011 season where the Lakers failed to three-peat and got swept by the Dallas Mavericks in the second round of the playoffs, where Dallas would eventually win the NBA championship by beating the Heatles in the finals. Okay, but LeBron James really wasn't getting any serious consideration for best player in the league until the 2008-2009 season. And that's when the Kobe versus LeBron debates really started heating up. And you remember the Nike puppet commercials that they started making, because we all thought that we were going to get a Lakers versus Cavaliers finals in 2008, 2009, and in 2009, 2010. But LeBron James failed to get there. He lost to the Orlando Magic. The Cavaliers were favorited. That same Orlando Magic team goes to the finals and get their ass whipped by Kobe and the Lakers. Kobe got it done. Next year, LeBron James loses to the Boston Celtics, whom the Cavaliers were favorited, if I'm not mistaken. And that Celtics team will go on to the NBA Finals, where they would lose to Kobe Bryant and the Lakers. Kobe Bryant took care of business. After that championship in that offseason, LeBron James goes and starts the super team crusade. Okay? So, I don't know what people are talking about. Now, even after that first year with the Miami Heat, it was still debatable who the best player in the league was. Because now Kevin Durant was on the rise. Now, that second season with the Miami Heat, I feel like it was you really couldn't question. LeBron James was the best player in the league, probably. Yes. And probably through most of his through his Miami Heat tenure from that point on. Fast forward to the Cavaliers years, right? LeBron James, that first stint with the reunion with the Cavaliers. LeBron James best. Those Steph Curry got the MVP. But it was a year after that with Steph Curry. People started saying Steph Curry was the best player in the league. That was the year the Golden State Warriors broke the record. 73-9. Now people were saying, well, this is LeBron James isn't unquestionably the best player in the league anymore. It's Steph Curry. Now, I wasn't saying that. I thought LeBron James was. I definitely was not saying that. Not at all. Mm-mm. Can't. And then after that, the Durant, LeBron James debates really started picking up. People were like, yeah, nah, I got LeBron. I got Kevin Durant. So Chris Broussard is absolutely right. And I also agree with the sentiment that even before Michael Jordan won his first championship in the 90-91 season, a couple years prior to that, the general consensus was Michael Jordan was the best player in the NBA. Bird and Magic were still balling. Were still balling, but they were a bit off their prime and continuing to descend. And Michael Jordan was there at the peak of his powers, more or less. Larry Bird said it. Larry Bird has made several comments. You can find it online. Quite a few commentary stating that Mike was the best player in the league. Mike was the best player he had ever seen. Mike was better than all of us. And most people would agree. I don't disagree with anything that was said there. I don't. And that's also a good point. Mike never got swept in a 7-game series. They still had that first round 5-game series up until somewhere in the early to mid 2000s where they made that a 7-game series the first round. And even in that 85-86 season where Mike got swept by the Celtics the first time, where he dropped 63 on them boys, that was the year Mike came back from his broken foot. And he was on a minutes restriction for a while. But they never mentioned that foot. Just saying. After the Chicago Bulls got dusted by the Boston Celtics, to this day, I don't hear the story is Michael got swept by the Celtics. He never beat Larry. He got swept 3-0 by the Boston Celtics in the first round. Regardless of how many points, how many rebounds, how many assists he had, the team still lost. And I don't even hear many Michael Jordan fans bring up that broken foot in that Celtics series. I don't even hear Michael Jordan fans bring it up. They just say he lost. The better team won. And the better team did win. And I believe even if Michael Jordan was 100%, let's say Michael Jordan never got the broken foot, never had the broken foot, period. Foot was completely fine. They still would have lost to the Celtics. They had the better team. Come on, man. I don't disagree with anything Stephen A said. I think it's fairly spot on. Fairly. Yeah, but it cracks me up how people try to act like I've heard Nick Wright say, and Colin Cowherd agree with him that Kobe Bryant was never the best player in the league at any point in his career. Come on, man. What are we talking about? Kobe Bryant was never the best player in the league. Blows my mind. I go hard at the Bronxexuals because they need to get put in their place. But I go extra hard because that has been the number one fan base that has made it a priority of theirs to diminish Kobe Bryant's career and make up lies and revise history. That I cannot stand for. I don't understand why they feel so threatened by Kobe Bryant for them to want to do this. If your king, not my king, if your king, Bronxexuals, is as great as you say he is, his accomplishments and his legacy should be able to stand on its own. You shouldn't have to make up things about other players and thwart reality about other players and try to tear other players down if your GOAT is as great as you say he is. But the fact that you feel the need to do this to other players probably tells me how comfortable you feel about his accomplishments and his legacy. Me, I'm not a super LeBron James fan by any means. I respect the man's career. He's one of the greatest I've ever seen, one of the greatest of all time, in my opinion. And I feel like everything he's done is enough to stand on its own as a potential GOAT candidate. Not my GOAT, but for some people, he is. Why you gotta make stuff up? Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell. I've went on too long. Catch you on the next one. We out, baby.